Today's Friday, June 10th, 2016. Welcome to a special edition of your daily dose of MMA Now. Well, Brock Lesnar's coming back at UFC 200, but he has some words about Muhammad Ali. He got to meet Ali, and even though he couldn't talk, he said the two shared a handshake, and there was power that was felt between the two of them. Lesnar said he's not really a big fan of celebrities or taking pictures with them, but that was a special moment because he watched all his fights and what Ali stood for. Also, Chad Mendes tested positive, failed the USADA anti-doping violation. It was outside of a competition and it wasn't inside of a competition, so we'll have to see what kind of punishment is handed down to Mendes. No comment has been made from Chad or any of his camp. Also, Miesha Tate says she wants Ronda Rousey because she says, quote, "I know I can be here," unquote. Miesha Tate slated to fight Amanda Nunes at UFC 200 July 9th. She has to get through Nunes, and then next, she may get the one, the only rowdy Ronda Rousey, who's not slated to come back until later in this year after undergoing arthroscopic knee surgery a week and a half ago. And last, the reason for the special edition was today was Muhammad Ali's funeral in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky. Many people know that he passed a week ago today, Friday, and some of the pallbearers that were there were former heavyweight boxing champs Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, actor Will Smith, who played Ali in the movie Ali, and for those some people that don't know, Muhammad Ali was born Cassius Clay, and later changed his name when he converted to Islam. But what a lot of people don't understand is what the man stood for. I wasn't able to watch any of his fights live or in person. It was well before my time, but I've seen a majority of his fights, and I never got to meet Ali, but it's what he stood for. He was around at a time where social activism was huge. Was he a favorite for everyone? No, but he stood up for what he believed in. During his prime, he was out for 3 years because he avoided the draft. He didn't want to fight. And the reason he didn't want to fight was, one of the things he said was, the Vietnamese never did anything to me. So he really stood up for what he believed in, and he worked hard. I mean, it was one of those things where a lot of people thought he was just a natural, and Ali was a natural, but it was a self-belief in himself. I mean, he said that, I know I'm the greatest because I said I'm the greatest. And so there's always be a debate, who's the pound for pound best fighter of all time. Ali obviously has a string of losses. He lost to Frazier. He lost badly to Larry Holmes, and he lost later in his career. But he transcended boxing and the sport and anything else. And so the era he came up in, a lot of people say, if he fought today, he would still do well. I mean, of course, he'd be probably heavyweight champion of the world. But it was more than that. It's what he stood up for. With a recent passing as well of Kimbo Slice, there was some debate of not putting the two in the same name, in the same sentence. And every life is precious. Famous, not famous. And the thing is, some people have made a bigger mark on people's lives than other people. And that's something that Ali got to do. And I remember some people, just a few memories were when he had the 96 Atlanta Olympics, and he went to bring the torch, and he was shaking. There were some people that kind of made fun of that. And there was a time where I was around, I was a kid, and that bothered me. And I even as a kid, let those sentiments be known. And he didn't have to say it later on. He couldn't speak, but it was still there from what I've seen. If everyone strived to do a little bit of what he did, as far as in a work of what he did in his life, I think people would reach more of their goals and just reach higher. And it's not because of what he did, it's because of what he put on for other people. And of course, he had a good number of sayings: sting like a butterfly, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, amongst everything else he said. And I think that's something that may get lost in these later generations. So on this special edition of Daily Dose of MMA Now, just want to send our condolences to the family. And most importantly, just be able to grab a little bit of maybe you don't agree with a guy or wasn't a fan, but you can't deny the work ethic and you can't deny what he believed in. Well, that'll do it for today's special edition of your Daily Dose of MMA Now. We'll see you again on Monday.